I'm kind of like I think people like Michael Jordan. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
the analytics
I love
You just see how games and possessions how they mean more.
I'm not putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Patrick Redford. I am joined, as always, by Harry Krinsky. And this week we have a special guest. Our first guest calling in from across an ocean. We have Ricardo Brito Reis from Portugal, formerly of the Portuguese Basketball Federation, a writer, commentator, analyst, but I know him in his capacity as Neemias Queta's number one fan. And the last time we talked, I did an interview with you about why all these Portuguese fans were staying up till 4 a.m. to watch like the worst basketball of all time. And I just got to ask, like, how much nicer is it that not only does Neemi play for an East Coast team, but he's playing really well for like a really good team?
Well, guys, first, thank you for having me. I'll try to show you why we are so crazy about Neemi. I'll try to explain it for the guys listening, the audio version. Portugal has a big tradition in tiles. And what I have here is a tile. A factory made this tile with Neemi's face, and you know what's said, what's written in there? It's something he said in summer league to Paulo Banchero.
Wow.
Neemi tried to shoot a three and scored the three on Paulo. And then he fouled him. Paulo was on the free throw line, and Paulo was bitching him, talking smack to him. And he just said, "You don't know me, bruh. You don't know me." And so there's a Portuguese tile factory that made handmade tiles with Neemi's face, and they're selling them. So it's crazy.
God.
It's crazy.
That
Summer
is
League
amazing.
Neemi. Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that there's a popular meme from Summer League alone, I think tells you how dedicated everyone is.
Yeah. So we are very happy that he's now playing in the East Coast, and mainly because he's an important part of a good team. And everybody was saying the Celtics were going to have a gap year, but Joe Mazzulla decided otherwise. And Neemi's growth has been outstanding. Now Porzingis is gone, Horford is gone, Cornet is gone, and so it's next man up. And the guy, I think, has been playing really solid.
No, I mean, I totally. My first thought because I went back and read Patrick's article where you referenced, and I was like, I cannot believe he was on the Kings. I can't believe that the Kings had another starting caliber, pretty good. Like Neemi changes games, and the fact that the Kings, let him go. Tyrese Halliburton.
They let him go. Article. They let him go because they needed a roster spot to go after JaVale McGee, 35-year-old JaVale McGee.
Yeah. I remember when I was going to a lot of Kings games during the Beam season, Neemi was like deep bench. And also, of course, like one of the fatal flaws that season was that they didn't have a functional backup center. And like they tried him for like one game and it was against Embiid and he got his ass kicked. And then Mike Brown was like, well, that's enough of you. We don't want to see you anymore. But I remember like I would watch, he was always the first guy to warm up and I would go sit courtside and just watch his warm-ups and he would hit like 15 out of 25 threes, like no problem. And this is a guy who like doesn't shoot in the NBA. And so that was just like another moment where you realize like, man, anyone in the NBA is just like so unbelievably skilled, way beyond our imaginations.
Yeah. Well, maybe with the expansion coming up soon, probably there will be 30 more roster spots for talented guys that can play in the NBA.
Was the Neemi, explosion in fandom in Portugal, was this lightning in a bottle, or did this have something to do with the basketball spirit in Portugal?
No, Portugal is a soccer country, just like most European countries. We are just soccer. We have 3 sports newspapers here in Portugal that have around 30 to 4 pages every day. And 36 pages are dedicated to soccer. So when I buy newspapers, I always start from the beginning to from the end to the beginning, because I want to see basketball first. So that's the kind of stuff we have to endure here in Portugal. But Nimi was a complete surprise, because he didn't play top division here in Portugal before he went to college in the US. He went to a mid-major school in Utah State. So it was completely out of the blue. Of course, he's a 7-footer. That's great if you want to play basketball. But he was completely from out of the blue. We weren't expecting this kind of explosion.
I'm the centrality of soccer and basketball culture in Portugal and all that is a good transition into the reason why we wanted to have you on today, which is that one of the big, I think, undercovered stories in basketball is this NBA Europe expansion. Like, we haven't really talked about it on the show. Joe Varden has done a lot of reporting. Brian Windhorst has done a lot of reporting. And Adam Silver has talked about it a lot, but like, it hasn't really broken into the American basketball press that much, which I find kind of interesting. And I find it, that disparity exists, I guess, because like the plan that Adam Silver and his guys are proposing is like fairly disruptive to the European basketball economy as it exists. They basically want like full NBA arenas and NBA level competition, $1 billion expansion fees, all this stuff. And the reason we had you on, Ricardo, is because you wrote this story for Katie Heindel's Basketball Feelings Substack about sort of like what will be lost. And I wanted to sort of use that story as an entry point into talking about this larger story. So I just wanted to ask, like, what motivated you to write that? And like, can you just explain to the people what the story was?
Yeah, Katie asked me, was kind enough to invite me to write to Basketball Feelings, which is one of the best basketball writing spaces there is. And she gave me some room to breathe. So I didn't want to write a policy explainer about what it feels to watch something you love get recognized by people who see it differently. I just wanted to give American audience the vision of an European journalist or a European person that is acknowledging that the NBA is going to invest in trying to fabricate a league here, trying to replicate the American model, the NBA model in Europe. And maybe, just maybe, some things are not easy to implement in Europe because the NBA is promoting brands, and you can relocate teams, and European basketball, you don't do that. The basketball is completely I don't know how to say it, but it's so engraved in people's lives. People root for their cities. When you see Bayern Munich, the German team, play in Serbia against Partizan, it's not just Bayern versus Partizan. It's Germany versus Serbia. So that rings a bell. And there's something more than basketball. So I think just throwing money and trying to build and manufacture a league, some things are not going to be exactly like the NBA, I think, is expecting, because some teams here in Europe have been playing for 80 years, and we had just had the example of the Dubai team that was created just 1 year ago, and they don't have fans, they don't have journalists, they don't have expectations, but they have the money, and so they can play. And I think that's what the NBA is going for.
And that contrast is remarkable. Like, I follow the EuroLeague and all these like European basketball guys on Instagram, and it's always like we have Panathinaikos playing, like one of the other huge teams, and it's like every person in the stands appears to be like lighting a flare and jumping up and down and screaming, and it's like awesome. And I remember like when Wemby came to San Antonio, he funded like I don't know if he funded exactly or just sort of motivated this like big, loud fan section. Cause I think
Yeah.
he was missing that like passion, like the crazy, crazy fans from European basketball. And like that just seeing a European guy coming over here and expressing that he's really missing that level of passion. That's something I've been thinking about a lot, I guess, as like Silver's trying to start this new league.
Yeah, and you can see that, for example, in the Belgrade Derby, which was what I wrote about in that article, because the both teams are playing in the same gym. That's the same venue for both teams, and these are rivals. These are teams that were both founded in 1946, exactly 80 years ago. Just a few months apart, they were both founded. One is the dark side of the city, the other is the red side of the city. And when they play against each other, there were years where people died because they were fighting. People died. So they decided when Partizan plays at home, there are no Red Star fans in the stands. It's just Partizan fans, and the other way around. And when you talk about passion, for example, the Panathinaikos, there's maybe the perfect anecdote about what European basketball is, for better or worse. This month, in the beginning of the month, Panathinaikos lost in the Greek league, in the domestic league, against a weak team. And coach, one of the best coaches in Europe, was ejected during the game. Seconds after the final buzzer, the owner of Panathinaikos posted an Instagram story, and he wrote this: "Head coaches, assistant coaches, you have no idea where you're playing. This is Panathinaikos. I hope that when you come back to Athens, if you have the decency to come back, you all resign." And all the players together. That's what he wrote on his Instagram stories. Yeah, this is a guy that in 2016 screamed at a referee, "I will kill you and your family. That's a promise." That's the owner of Panathinaikos. This is the guy that when they played Olympiacos, which is their biggest rival, when Olympiacos players went to the locker room for the halftime, he went and put red underwear on Panathinaikos bench. So, this guy is insane. Yeah. So
Can
this
you
is
imagine,
this is the passion that we're talking about here.
That's so. Can you imagine like James Dolan doing shit like that? Like,
I was
cool.
thinking about comparing that to the famous Comic Sans Dan Gilbert letter that seemed to be the most salacious thing any owner could ever do, and it was like a kind of meekly worded compared to what we just heard.
Yeah. He's not threatening to kill anyone. And that is in marked contrast to this, like the character we've seen so far from what Silver's talked about, which is teams in, I believe, 12 like major European cities, some of which might involve like existing, like Real Madrid's basketball team might join. Like I know that one of the first signs that this would be trouble for the existing EuroLeague is that a number of teams, Fenerbahce being one of them, like didn't renew their like 10-year exclusivity agreements or something. But like the main, you read any story about this and it's totally unavoidable. You start seeing like you start seeing Sultan's names, you start seeing Sheikh's names, you start seeing like various Middle Eastern investment funds. And it's like, it's interesting here that like all of those people are involved in like the English Premier League and like a lot of other European soccer, except they are like investing within the existing structure of the sport. And so I think a lot of American fans, even those who are like sort of aware of that, would sort of assume that it's like, oh, it's going to be the same thing. But this is like way more potentially disruptive. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I think the NBA saw an opportunity when the EuroLeague opened the door to Dubai and to Paris basketball. Paris basketball is a team that, a group of investors bought a small team from a lower division in France a few years ago. They put David Kahn, the former Timberwolves GM, in front of that team, the guy that passed on Steph Curry twice.
One of my favorite GMs. Yeah.
Yeah, cool guy.
and Paris started to elevate his game. There was a lot of investment, and now they are in the EuroLeague. Dubai, they had the money. You know where that money comes from, and suddenly they have a 5-year permit to play in the EuroLeague, because the EuroLeague is a closed league. You have permanent spots, and you have a few qualifying annually teams. But some teams have licenses, 10-year licenses, 15-year licenses, and they can play. There's no relegation. The team doesn't exit the league if they lose every single game in a season because they have a license. They can play in the league. So they kind of replicate the model of the NBA. But the NBA sees an opportunity because the EuroLeague started in 2000. When big clubs thought that there was not enough money was being generated, so they kind of pushed away from the FIBA. FIBA was controlling every competition. They decided to create a company, EuroLeague, and decided to take it in their own hands. And now the NBA is gonna do that with American money, with American marketing. Of course, they'll bring the NBA marketing, and that's gonna work. But they are targeting cities, like you said, London, Manchester, Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, Milan, Munich, Berlin, potentially Athens and Istanbul. So big cities that can play, that can pay big money for tickets, but you're gonna lose the passion, because the teams like Belgrade teams, Lithuanian teams, Algiris Kaunas, other teams that bring those that can fill arenas, 20,000 people every single game, 3 times a week, and then with flares, with people staying outside trying to kill each other, you're gonna lose all that.
And no, that all makes sense. And just so the kind of trend you're outlining from like FIBA, then to the EuroLeague, then to the sort of like financialization, increased capital into the EuroLeague, what I'm hearing is like there is a new model emerging where you can just, oh, this city or this team doesn't have a tremendous history, but if we just inject it with enough capital, they can like pay for good enough players, and then the league will want us in because we have capital, and we can kind of force our way into these more competitive, more watched, like international leagues. Is that and then the NBA just wants to take that and say, okay, what if we supercharge that and slap the NBA logo on it? Is that sort of the trend I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think in the long term, maybe not in the long term, but I think what's going to happen is the EuroLeague probably won't be able to sustain. So I think the NBA Europe project is going to cannibalize the EuroLeague competition, because Barcelona committed to EuroLeague, but Real Madrid is kind of people in Spain are saying they are probably going to join NBA Europe. The coach is Sergio Scariolo. He was a former coach in the NBA. He was assistant coach in the Raptors when they won the championship. Of course, he has connections with the NBA. I think he's trying to push Real Madrid to this NBA Europe. You see Ashvel. Ashvel is a French team. The owner is Tony Parker. They are the worst team in the standings this year. They only have 4 wins, and he's going to NBA Europe because they can inject money, and that's these target markets, in fact, are going to play for NBA.
There's this like this interesting series of like words that always get used. It's always about like markets and capital and opportunities, and it's just such a bummer to me as someone who's been a American sports subject for so long. Like, I think a lot of American sports fans look at like the passion, the sort of like community basis of Europe. Like, you look at like, oh yeah, Madrid has 4 soccer teams. There's like the fascist one, there's a left-wing one, and they just like beat the shit out of each other before games. And it's like,
Yeah.
what you like is that like sort of level of specificity and community organization. And like, if you compare that to like being a fan of an American team where you're basically just like this eternal marketing subject where like everyone assumes that like you have this level of passion for your team that they will then like cynically use to just sell you as much shit as possible. Like that sucks. And it really sucks to think about like the NBA assuming that they can just create these like teams out of whole cloth and just that like the demand will then like be created by just like this sheer force of marketing. Like that just I don't like to think about that. Like essentially this is like a process of Americanization. Like, you know, they aren't like, you know, military hard power or even like that cultural soft power, but like that's like kind of what's going on here. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and there's another thing, which is basketball quality and star power. The NBA markets players. You want to see LeBron here in Europe. You talk about bandwagoners. Here in Europe, we have a saying, it's LeBron FC, LeBron Football Club. We have the fans of LeBron Football Club. So wherever LeBron is, we are a fan of LeBron Football Club. There are fans that are fans of LeBron. So you can market players in the NBA. You're going to have an NBA Europe competition, and you're going to market what? Kendrick Nunn versus Taylor Horton Tucker. I don't know if that can fill an arena. I mean,
you might be right. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so
good.
I was just going to say, transition us into Pau Gasol. Perhaps the most involved person here, and like someone who's positioning himself to be the kind of presumptive commissioner of the new NBA Europe. He talked in this big January meeting, and this is something you wrote about in your story. He said, "This is a very unique opportunity. It's all about learning from each other. It's all about creating this new venture together. Yes, we're talking about the league, but this goes far beyond. It's about the ecosystem. It's about the grassroots. It's about the domestic league and the impact on the children." And he appears to be sincere when he's saying this, whereas I see this and think he's being played for soccer. So just like, I don't know, what do you make of Gasol as like, I mean, obviously he's one of the most decorated and like earliest, like big time, not earliest, but you know what I mean? Like he won a bunch of titles and stuff with Kobe.
Yeah. And I think he's a great choice to be the face of this league. If the NBA wants to invest in Europe and sell the idea that this is about grassroots and the children, Gasol is the perfect guy to do that. You know, everybody loves Gasol. You can, I can find, and nobody can say anything bad about Pau Gasol. He's the perfect guy. So I think the NBA is doing the perfect move, trying to get Gasol as the face of this league, probably the future commissioner of this league, because he will be first. He's the icon of a generation here in Europe, a golden generation here in Europe. Spanish basketball is one of the most decorated countries here in Europe. So that's a perfect choice. But all those things he said that were well intended were in the same room where people from sovereign wealth funds officials were. So I don't know. Doesn't add up.
It is funny to imagine, right? There's all this like, Amazon executive, sovereign wealth fund, like all these people clapping along, being like, yes, grassroots. Can't wait to employ our grassroots marketing at Amazon. It's like,
well,
right.
It's funny you mentioned Amazon because obviously this is the first year of like the big new TV deal for the NBA where Amazon and NBC have taken over for TNT. And the ratings are significantly larger. And like what people have pointed to is that like Amazon has European broadcast rights and like that has really juiced it. So I just wonder, like, has your experience of watching the NBA this year changed or become any easier, or is it just sort of the same? Like, I don't know. Do you have international league pass?
Yeah, I do have League Pass. For me, it's just the same. I just connect League Pass to my TV. But you can. Normally, I like to watch Peacock. Peacock has a good. I like the Peacock broadcast. I think they're doing a great job. But it's kind of confusing because one day it's Peacock, another day it's Amazon, another day it's ESPN. Kind of confusing, but it's League Pass, so it's not it's easy.
So the thing I wonder is like you talk about like the Kendrick Nunn Derby.
Yeah.
If the money is equal, like I certainly get the sense that someone like Nikola Jokic would so much rather play in Europe. Like the second the Nuggets season ends, he's like on a plane, and like the labor aspect is something I find pretty interesting here, where it's like there's been this like we literally just had the NBA, the Americans versus the World All-Star game, and there's a lot of hand wringing about how like the MVP ballot every year, I guess maybe not this year when Cade eventually wins because of the 65 game rule, is just like all European guys. And I wonder like if the money is totally equal, like wouldn't almost every, I guess maybe the money and the competition would have to be equal, but like why would like Luka and Giannis and those guys like play in Milwaukee, et cetera, if they can just like, I mean, obviously, like Spain is not Greece. Like Europe is a continent, not a country. But like, I don't know. Do you get a sense of like where the players? I mean, I'm just basically asking you to guess. But like, can you guess?
Yeah, well, I don't think the money is gonna be equal. Well, now today, you have teams like Panathinaikos have a 40 million budget for year for the whole team. So
that's Zach LaVine money.
Yeah, well, Steph Curry's 59 million, Real Madrid entire roster 58 million. So there's a big difference. There are two guys in the EuroLeague that make more than 5 million a year. Vasily Misic and Kendrick Nunn. That's the only two guys. But I can understand the appeal for guys that are on the fringe of rotations. For example, Nikola Mirotic, a few years ago, he was in the Milwaukee Bucks, didn't play some nights out of the rotation. Yeah, he was making good money. Suddenly, there's a chance to come to Europe, sign a 6-year deal or a 6 million deal for 3 or 4 years, some stability for his team. And he's not a fringe rotation player. Is a legend here in Europe. So I think the ego plays a part in this, but not for Jokic and Luka and those guys. I think that won't be appealing because the money will be always way higher in the NBA.
And I think like if this eventually nets out where like NBA Europe is like a much better version of the Euro League, it's basically like if it like destroys the G League because like all of a sudden Bull can go put up like 25 a night in Madrid or whatever, then like I think ultimately those guys like are also competitors and they wouldn't want to win like, Mickey Mouse rings in Paris or whatever. Like they would want to like the prestige will maybe still be a motivating factor. So I don't know. I do. I mean, they say they want to get this going, with a qualifying tournament summer 2027. Like that is next year. Like this is happening all very quickly.
I think the board of governors are going to vote it next month in March.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they're going to approve from Varden's reporting. I think he used the metaphor of a steamroller. It's all happening so quickly, and I guess I bring that up because like, most players are like under contract. Like this isn't going to happen. Like they're not going to like start breaking these deals to get out there immediately. So I do wonder like. Yeah, who plays?
Yeah, I think probably there will be some teams that, the NBA is trying to partner with FIBA. So we have 4 European competitions: the EuroLeague, the Euro Cup, that are controlled by the EuroLeague company, and then there's the FIBA Champions League and the FIBA Europe Cup, that are both controlled by FIBA. But there are probably going to be some teams from the FIBA competitions that are going to play in NBA Europe if they have the money to do it. And then about the players, probably the G League. A lot of players will come to Europe. A few fringe rotation players will come to Europe. I can see some European players not happy with their roles in the NBA. You had Sasha Vezenkov in Sacramento Kings.
Oh yeah,
he couldn't find a role. Yeah, it's tough for him to adjust to the physicality on defense in the NBA. Was asked to be on the corner just shooting threes. He comes to Europe, he's the MVP. Yeah, you have Facundo Capazzo. He was playing in Denver, a very
loved
small
him.
guard. Milos Teodosic, he was playing in the NBA. Small guards with struggles defensively. They come to Europe and they are absolute legends. So
Yeah, Mike
I
James
think-
is like the best player of all time, basically.
Yeah. Mike James is the best scorer of all time. Kevin Durant comes every year to see Mike James play, and KD promised that he would play at least 1 year in Barcelona. So I guess he won't play in
love
the
it.
NBA Europe. He'll play in the EuroLeague.
Yeah. Get ready to learn Catalonian, buddy.
A Catalonian burner account.
Yeah. That's funny. All right. I mean, I think that's as good of a place to end it. Ricardo, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. Anytime.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And with we are loath to express pro Boston sentiments on this podcast, but I will say that I'll be rooting for 20% of their starting lineup for the rest of his career. Like, honestly, it really is just as a sort of refugee from the Sacramento Kings experience. I'm just so happy he has a career. I always liked that guy, and it warms my heart to see Nemi just thriving. Like, I really love it.
Wait,
Yeah,
I have one other question that I just need to tack onto this, which is,
sure.
Talk a little bit about, in the Nemi universe, what the popular imagination of Sacramento was. Like, what have they seen Lady Bird? Like, what's going on with Sacramento in the imagination?
What can I tell you? Portuguese fans love Sacramento because Tisha Penicheiro played for Sacramento,
Right.
the Sacramento Monarchs. He was a champion back in 2005. Nemi was there. So I think Portuguese fans have strong feelings regarding Sacramento, but mostly regarding Mike Brown. They just can't stand Mike Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, because he refused to play him. Now that you mention it, I realized that the neighborhood I grew up in was the first European settlers were Portuguese. People, like Sacramento's cultural Portuguese hall is like down the street from my house. Like, there were a lot of Portuguese families living in my neighborhood. So it's mutual, except I do like Mike Brown. Other than that, we have a lot in common.
Well,
I
went to Sacramento for 2 weeks to make some interviews and be with Nemi for a couple of weeks. And I thought I was in Lisbon. It's very reminiscent of Lisbon. Really. We
Wait,
just
Lisbon
don't have
is so hilly. Sacramento is like the flattest. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I just think the weather was very similar to Lisbon. Probably was about the time of the year I went. I went in April, I guess. So I think I had a lot of memories from Lisbon that came from Sacramento, but we just don't have a beam on top of buildings here.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, well, that's amazing. I'm so glad you got to see it. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Ricardo. This is great.
Yeah, great. Thank you, guys. Anytime.